The next thing you want to do is in your interview preparedness is usually you will get a list of the names of the people that are interviewing you. It is a very good idea to see if you can find them on LinkedIn and then do a general internet search on the people who are interviewing you. Things you want to really look for are, what is their role on the team? How do they relate to the team you're interviewing with? In my role with a PM position, we usually work close with an engineering manager. So often an interview loop for my position would include the engineering manager because I'm going to work so closely with them. And knowing that they're the engineering manager might prepare you a little bit for what types of questions they're going to ask there, because they're going to be a little bit more, how are you going to work with my engineering team? They're kind of the gatekeeper of what comes into that team and the work that's done and how it's assigned. So you want to know that thing. Like, what do they do now? What product do they work on? If they have written on their LinkedIn profile and kind of defined some of the scope of the things they've actually done or problems they've solved, then you might get a clue on the type of problems that team is solving right now, which may come up in the interview. I have definitely been in an interview where they presented, this is a problem we are trying to solve, and this is what we've done so far. What other things would you suggest? In that interview, it went kind of poorly because I did not take the time to investigate what types of problems might this team be trying to solve, and I felt very unprepared. It didn't go so well. Doing this step would have really helped. Also, if you can look up, have they written any blog posts? What date was that blog post written? What were they talking about? That means that something shipped or their team produced something that they were proud enough to tell everybody about and felt the need to blog about it. That gives you a little sense of what do they find important. Again, remember, when you're interviewing, you really want to make a connection with the other person if you can. You want to know they're looking for somebody they can work with, they feel like can get the job done. There's an aspect of likability. So the more you can get to know about them, the more you increase the chance that you're going to connect well with them. You want to see a little bit if you can find out the past work history. What companies have they worked in? Have they been in different divisions in the same company? Are they new to their role? I love LinkedIn for this because you can find out how long have they been in the role that they're in. I had one who'd only been in their role for 2 months, so they were actually building a team, and so they had a lot of the old team they were working with, and they were trying to build a new team, and that kind of gives you a clue bit about the team dynamic. Some people might miss the old manager that left, and this person may be shaking things up in a way that their team is uncomfortable with, but it can give you a little bit of key insights because you kind of want to know what questions you should ask in return. You want to get that feel for what would it be like to be on that team, and understanding what they value may give you insights on what types of questions they'll ask you and what type of questions may resonate when you ask them. So it's important to see what you can find out. Have they ever presented at a conference? Do they post regularly on social media? Do they have a Twitter account? What types of things are they excited about? If your passions meet their passions on in topics around this job role, that's an amazing thing to talk about. Now, there will be times when you just can't find that person, and I would say it's far more prevalent in like cybersecurity, because a lot of cybersecurity professionals don't want to put out a single bit of personal information. In that case, just try and figure out if you can go back to the previous slide, the company, the division, and try not to let that rock you. I had one where I barely could find the interviewer at all on social media, and it turned out to be an amazing interview. So in that case, make sure you're preparing really great questions ahead of time. One of the most insightful questions I ever asked in an interview was, how does your division prioritize? And then you can fill in the blank with whatever's important to you. I used learning because I felt like in the role I was in, we were struggling to have time to learn new things. And I always felt like, man, I should be learning a lot more. So I just wanted to know how that division prioritized it. And I got the most insightful answer. Actually, some red flags surfaced, and where I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I really want to work on this team. So as you get to know the interviewers ahead of time, keep in mind that you're also learning about them so that you can build the bank of questions on the things that you're really curious about, the things that are going to let you know that you want to work on this team. Like I said in the previous video, if you will overcome an employment gap or career pivot and you're miserable, you're going to really question a lot of life choices at that time. So use this time to get to know who's going to interview you. Now, a word of caution. I had a situation where somebody also used to be in the fitness industry, and they were one of my interviewers. So I just made the bold assumption that we were going to bond over fitness. Well, I kind of mentioned it during the interview or asked a question about it, and it seemed like a very sore spot in their past, and they did not want to talk about it at all. So it ended up making very awkward interview scenarios. So definitely consider that just because they worked in a past company and have that experience, it may not have been a great experience for them. There's a reason why they're in the company that they are now. So try and be sensitive to that. I would caution bringing it up unless they indicate, oh, I see that you were a personal trainer. Tell me about, and they might have a question around that. But it takes a lot of emotional intelligence and some people reading skills to make before you bring something like that. You don't want to, especially if the interview is going well, you don't want to bring up a source subject and then they were like, I didn't even feel good after that because they brought up da 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 da, and I don't even like to talk about da 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 da. So again, the more you learn about them, the more you might find out what's important to them. But I do want to give you that word of caution that if you're going too far back in the past, they may be uncomfortable. So that too, though, can help you understand how might this interview go, and it gives you a little bit more guidance on what to do while you're in the middle.